My name is Onrie'S. You've seen me sell comics. I want to buy this comic.
Too bad, because that comic sucks!
You're watching Onrie'S Comic Mukbang Reviews. Prepare to get banged. He doesn't want to come over. He's happy being over by you.
Yeah, he just loves me.
You got right, you did Max.
What's up, everybody? You're watching Onrie'S Comic and Movie Mukbang Reviews. I am your host, Onrie'S, and with me today are my sons,
Max.
and
Alex.
and come on, tell everybody your name, damn it. Berkeley. All right. It is raining. Well, it's preparing to rain really bad, and there might be like tornado warnings and stuff like that on the horizon, but we're still here, and we're going to start off by talking about two movies that we watched over the last few days, and you're going to get a few different perspectives. For me, someone who's been, in entertainment now for over 17 years, been watching movies and everything his whole life. We got Max here, who's a teenager, who's kind of like, noticing the modern trends. And then we got Alan here, who's the most impressionable and interested of everything that's going on in entertainment today. So we're going to talk about two movies. And then after we're done having our discussion about these movies and giving you guys our unfiltered thoughts, I'm going to review this week's comics, and we're going to change the scene upstairs. So I guess we'll start by talking about the first movie that we saw, which was Backrooms. Yes. So Max, go ahead. You can lead up the conversation over here for Backrooms.
All right. So I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was pretty interesting. It felt very unique, plot-wise. I really liked the set. It was very nice, and the music was really good. I also liked the acting a lot. There was a lot of new actors in the movie, and
Actually, I thought that was a really great observation you made. Is that like a lot of both the movies that we saw featured a lot of new actors, and that's a good thing for film and Hollywood and all that stuff. So that's pretty cool. That's a great observation. And you saw this movie for the second time with us.
Yeah, I saw it twice.
Yeah. So I'm assuming like everybody in school thought that this was going to be like, this was the cool movie for everybody to go see.
Oh yeah.
In school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Everybody came to see it basically.
Yeah.
In like different groups and stuff. But yeah, it was really cool. I really liked the music actually. It set the tone.
Yeah, it was a good soundtrack. Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of.
Did you like it more the second time, or was it the same experience for you both times?
Well, the first time had me like mesmerized. It was really good the first time. The second time, it was still pretty good, but like I already knew what was coming up, so it wasn't as intense. But it was still cool to see a second time.
Did you notice things that weren't, because it's a pretty complex concept. But conceptually, it's a complex movie. But was there things you noticed about it, like in your second run? That was actually something I didn't ask you.
Actually, no. I feel like I felt like I processed it. I processed it a lot better on the first run than on the second time.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I didn't feel like I learned anything new on the second time I watched it. But I still really liked the plot. It's very good.
Alan, what did you think? This was your first horror movie in the theaters.
I thought it was it feels like three parts of the movie. Like the first time, it's like getting to know the characters, and the second time is like where you in the back rooms, and the third time is like when you get like all the monsters, blah blah blah.
Okay, so you're saying it had a 3-act structure.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's good. I think that makes it coherent in terms of its structure. So you like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
What else did you like about the movie?
That it's not giving it right away. It's not
Handing everything.
It's slow.
Yeah, it's a slow build up.
It won't give you everything. It makes you build everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I also like.
Now, I did notice there were a lot of moments where you did get startled when there were the jump scares and those big moments, but you handled everything really well. I mean, I have to say I've done a really great job of desensitizing you to all this kind of stuff. But like, what would you say like on a level of like 1 to 10 of how scary it was? Not just how good of a movie it is, but like scale from 1 to 10, how scary wise.
Plot wise, like,
Just scary. Just how scary was it? 1 to 10. We'll get to the plot. You can tell us that in a minute.
like 5.
It was a 5 out of 10 for you in terms of scare. I think that's a pretty accurate read. Yeah. So for those of you guys who are expecting to be like scared out of your wits, just know that an 8-year-old desensitized child is found this to be kind of mediocre in terms of its fear factor, which I agree with. It wasn't like really scary, but okay, you were gonna say something about the plot.
Like the plot wise, I think it's a 7. It's
Okay.
like it makes you build it up by your own, which I think is like way better, and then just giving you everything. Like
Yeah.
it's
Just handing
preparing for
everything.
the second movie.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There was a lot of plot buildup.
Yeah, there's a lot to think about, like outside of the movie, really.
Well, I thought it was a pretty average movie. I will agree with Max that it had a really good soundtrack. Like and scoring a movie is, I think, a really important thing. Like the fact that it be scored correctly is really important. We'll get into that in a minute. There's a reason why Max is smirking here, but but that movie did a really good job of setting up the horror, because horror is not just set up with big monsters. It's set up with all the effects so that every single sense that the movie can act upon is affecting you as the viewer. So we got sound and sight, and that's pretty much it, right? We don't have taste, touch, or any of those other things, but sight and sound, that allows us to create to create the conclusions for everything else. So sound, I think, is extremely important, and that movie did a phenomenal job of using like that stringy, those stringy chords to like really set up the horrifying moments, and it was done well. And in terms of the fear factor in the movie, like I'm kind of with Alan, it was pretty mediocre. It's a good like starter movie for people like younger kids who might be into horror and like are interested. Like this is a good movie to take your relatively mature child to. Like if they're into horror, which Alan is into horror, but like we've been very careful about what kind of horror I'm exposing him to. So we haven't watched like serious horror. This is actually his first horror movie, but I think it was a good introduction. And then honestly, it reminded me a lot of that game you used to play on Roblox. 99, yeah, the Doors. Was it 99 Doors or just Doors?
Just Doors.
Yeah, it feels like this movie appeals to that audience. And one thing I was telling the boys too, it's like I felt like the set of that was like being back at my old warehouse, except everything was yellow as opposed to green and white. So there was that aspect. But I will tell you guys, there's been a lot of time in that warehouse, like especially at night, and it's like this really large space that's quiet, and it could at times be kind of freaky because like you don't know who's there, like you don't know what could be lurking in the darkness. And the way they utilized certain effects of what could be hiding around the corner was actually done to really solid effect. Like it's really well done. The camera aspect, what do you guys think of the camera? Like everything was.
I think that's more scary because, like, for me, like, it feels like a videotape that you weren't supposed to watch or something.
Yeah.
And I forgot what I was going to say. But, like, yeah.
Well, think about it. If you remember it, let us know. What's that?
I actually liked it without the, like, kind of, whenever, how it was, like, in 2 parts? There was, like, the camera where it was, like, on one of those old cameras. And then, like, in, like, real life, kind of. I like the real life more. I feel like it kind of, I don't know. I felt like the actual, like, I don't know, what would you call it?
The camcorder.
Yeah, the camcorder.
You wouldn't know what it is because it's like, that is such dated technology. Because for you guys who don't know, Backrooms takes place in the 90s. And back then, there were no cell phones, let alone phones that had cameras on them. So everybody was filming on this big camcorder.
Yeah. That
like costs like hundreds of dollars to get like it, it'd be like the cost of an iPad today to get a camcorder, and you literally had to put a cassette into it in order for it to record. And so Go ahead. You don't have to raise your hand. You're not in school.
The thing that makes it so scary is that the character's decisions. Like, because like if you were in that situation, you'll probably like just walk in and then just walk out. But since the characters they have to make a horror movie, this makes it more scary because like they walk in and actually explore.
Well, that's an interesting point, but let's remember, like, if they were to do that, then there would be no plot to the movie, right?
I feel like
Someone
it
has to
builds
be
character.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I feel like it builds a character. Wait, can I kind of explain?
Yeah, go ahead. Go
My
ahead. Yeah.
vision? So like Clark, the main character, he was very upset with his life. He didn't really enjoy what he was doing. And when he saw this big open, I don't know, warehouse, and it's like endless and stuff, he felt like very curious. He wanted to explore it because I feel like it was really into this character.
Well, he was a failed architect.
Yeah, he was a failed
so
architect.
navigating this large space was appealing to him.
Yeah, that's what I think. I also think actually how there's a theory where it's all in his head. I feel like that could also I feel like that kind of blends in a lot more with the character. Yeah.
I mean, I definitely think he was a central point of this world and something that was going on. Like, I don't think he was just some person that was there, but I was left feeling like
Unfulfilled.
no. I mean, it was a fine movie. First off, this is not a movie that drags out unnecessarily, so I am actually really appreciative of that because there are a lot of movies that just keep going and going, and they're like, we have to hit the 2.5 hour mark. It's like this one just ends at an hour and 50 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, around
Yeah,
that.
just under that. So it's like it doesn't feel like you're not going to feel like it drags out. It kind of drags a little bit in the beginning because you're seeing these spaces and it's like, wow, there's a room with a bunch of chairs in it. Oh, there's another room with a bunch of chairs in it. Okay, what's going on? Oh, there's a sound. Something's hiding behind there. And that's when it kind of pulls you back in. But, the one thing I was kind of hoping for was a coherent explanation of why things were happening. Bentley snoring.
Yeah.
I was really hoping we would get a real solidified answer of what was going on. And I felt like the movie ended with more questions than answers. But that just opens it up for a sequel, and I think they did a good job of kind of setting up for that. But it was a pretty vague ending. I mean, it's not you're gonna leave that movie not questioning what happened, but just feeling kind of like, what did I just watch? There's a line in the movie where Clark, the main character, goes up to his therapist and says, it's like he was trying to explain what going into the backgrounds is like, and it was like
Explaining a dog.
Yeah, go ahead. What was
It's
it?
like explaining a dog to someone who's never seen a dog, and then asking them to draw it, and then there's stuff wrong with it, in the details.
That's really kind of my summary of what I felt exiting the movie. It's like it was that, and I think that's intentional. I don't think that was an accident, because if they said if they used that line and I left the movie feeling that way, that gives me cause to think intent. And again, when you're doing something that has a multiple structure in mind, I think that they probably knew that this movie had a lot of potential to succeed. So I think that they probably had a good inclination that, we're going to set this up to where we could have multiple movies, but we can end here if we had to. Let's say it wasn't successful, which it was.
It was very successful.
Yeah. So what was the budget?
10 million, I think.
And they made how much?
Around 220 million.
220 million. So that in Hollywood is considered a success. And I was explaining to Max that that's how it all works in art. If you make a movie and it costs $6 million, but the movie makes $10 million and there's a $4 million profit, that's a success. Anything that actually provides profit is a success. You were going to say something.
So basically, I think it's way too easy to escape the back rooms because you can go in and then just go out the same way. That's my biggest problem. That maybe you can walk in and then the entrance is blocked into a different area. That would have been more scary to me because it would be more harder to escape the back rooms.
Yeah, I mean there was a lot of things like backtracking wasn't really a considerable factor in this. But then here's a question that I have. Maybe Clark was trying to actually trap the people that were in there purposefully because he mapped it out in his mind. So
was
he
able to leave.
he knew how to get in and out of there easily. He just eventually decided he didn't want to leave. But like the people who he brought in there, they trusted him because like think about it, he brought this rope with him, but he had a very specific use for this rope.
Mhm.
It wasn't like for backtracking. It wasn't for anything else. So either way, it's a good movie. I would say I would rate it a 6.5 out of 10, and I like that. I think it was a good movie. What would you say your overall review is?
7 out of 10.
Okay, you?
I would give it an 8. It was like
Yeah, you saw it
really
twice.
good for me. Yeah. I enjoyed it a lot.
I'm looking forward to the sequel. I think the sequel has potential to be a little bit more engaging and good. All right, let's check some of the comments here. We got Joey Galvez in the house. Joey, what's up? Good to see you, my brother. Chris Dyskel says the show ain't for crybabies. That's right. There's no crying here. Lorena says, what's up, Onrie? What's going on? She's watching the first game of the World Cup, which is Mexico versus South Africa right now. So that should be interesting.
Uh-huh.
All right. Well, I think we've talked enough about Backrooms. Does anybody else have anything they want to add?
Not really. No.
All right, cool. All right, so we're giving our thumbs up to go see Backrooms. I would say so.
Go see
Yeah.
Backrooms.
Yeah. Overall score 8, 7, 6.5. So we'll just call it a 7 movie,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's the average, right?
Mhm.
Okay,
We're
we're averaging.
slightly above. Yeah.
Yeah, we're averaging it. All right. All right. Now the next movie we're gonna review, and then this is like the last movie that we're going to talk about right now. And by the way, I decided to do reviews with these guys because there's a lot of cool movies coming out this year. We got Spider-Man coming up. We got a Resident Evil movie coming up. What else we got coming out? Avengers Doomsday.
Oh yeah, that's coming out soon.
Yeah, and like a whole bunch of other stuff. So, I mean, if you guys, are down for it, we can always come on here and you guys can give everybody your thoughts. But this next movie that we're reviewing here is Masters of the Universe. I've had a lot of people messaging me and asking me to let them know what my thoughts are on the movie. So me and the boys went and saw this yesterday. And who wants to lead on this one?
Here, you could lead. You grew up with it.
Oh, I grew up with it?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, well, I guess I'm going to be the one who's going to be the tamest on this. Well, here, hold on. Lorena had a comment on Backrooms. She said, Backrooms reminds me of endless waiting rooms at hospital doctor offices. That's true. And actually, I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so my take on Masters of the Universe. Overall, I thought it was a really visually stunning movie. Like, He-Man was great. The casting was awesome. Skeletor looked cool. Man-at-Arms was great. I mean, you got Idris Elba playing, Duncan. That's badass. All the characters felt like they were brought to life. And the world looked interesting. However, I think the script really was lacking. I think we needed a stronger script. There was a lot of times this movie was just trying to be funny for the sake of being funny. Like it was like, hey, look at the Marvel movies. They're always like, so smart and funny. Let's try and do that. Let's have those clever punchlines. And, it just doesn't land at any point, especially when your main villain Skeletor starts, reciting, lame punchlines and has one of the worst lines of dialogue from a villain I've ever heard in a movie, which is "oh balls." That was awful. That was really bad. But I liked seeing all the characters come to life. I did like how the story evolved. It started out being kind of promising, and then it really takes a downturn. And I really am convinced that the downturn is a result of poor scripting. I think I wouldn't have reshot anything. I would have just rewrote the script. I would have given the script another round in certain areas, and then I would have let it come back. Because the thing about Adam was that he was kind of a little bit too much. He was an unlikable character.
Yeah.
He was just, there was nothing about him that felt redeemable. But of course, that all got fixed in the end. I think the cheese factor, I get it. A lot of people kind of liked that, and I didn't mind the cheese factor. Like, I get that this is not a movie that is supposed to be taking itself too seriously, but it sometimes just throws seriousness out the window completely, and I don't think we needed to go that far. Like there's a middle ground, and they just went a little too, because like there was a Masters of the Universe movie that came out in the 80s.
Oh, really?
And that one was not as good. But like I was a big He-Man fan growing up, so I had all the toys and everything, and seeing these characters come to life, like that's the movie I would have wanted as a kid. And we got that. It was just a little too it was just a little too comedic, but the action was great. I mean, honestly, all the action was awesome. One of my biggest gripes with this movie, and this is why Max was smirking earlier, was the score. The score for this movie is terrible. It is just a very bad score. I think that they could have really revisited the music and really tap into the 80s rock stuff, because there is one song that they use in the movie. They use Queen's Princes of the Universe song, and that's a great song, but it belongs in Highlander. It does not belong in Masters of the Universe. I can't believe it was even allowed to be used for it, to be honest. But they didn't even use the best parts of that song. You know, like they just kind of skip over, you know, some important moments that could have made the movie more dramatic, that could have made those cheesy moments matter more. You know, I'm fine with cheesiness. That's fine. It didn't make me hate this movie. I just think the cheese level was too high. It's like too much cheddar here. We had too much of a cheese pull in this movie. So that's my thoughts. I would honestly give He-Man probably like a 6 out of 5. Like I'm kind of like where I was with Backrooms. Good movie. It was definitely a good movie. I liked it. I would watch it again if it was on TV. That last fight scene at the end, totally worth it. It is totally worth going to see for that. But like the cheesiness level on this, it's a little, you know, it could have been toned down just a smidge. You know, a round or two more in the writing room could have really fixed it. So you want to go next, or Alan? You want to go next?
I'll just go next.
Go ahead. You go next.
I feel like it's unrelatable, like with Adam, because like he's like when like he just like too like he's too tired and like unrelatable. Like he's not.
Well, he seems to have like a very like one track mind thought on what he's doing. Like, you know what I was hoping this movie would be more like is this movie called Hook, which was about Peter Pan after he grew up, and then his kids get kidnapped by Captain Hook, and he has to go back to Neverland and remember how to become Peter Pan again. Well, I was kind of hoping that would be the case with He-Man, is that Adam would just have forgotten this part of his life and would have gotten sucked in to, you know, modern day reality more. But like he wasn't. He was like a kid, and he was obsessed with finding this sword, and it got too goofy. And I think Joey actually makes a really good comment here. He says the cheese factor was fun, but all the gross innuendo sword jokes, which probably went over your head completely, definitely went over his head completely. Did they go over your head?
No.
Yeah, you got it.
There was too many. Yeah,
it was too many. And yes, exactly. Coming from Jared Leto, like the main villain of the story, like, you know, he just had some really bad lines. Like for Skeletor should be a menace, you know, like we should be afraid of Skeletor. We should not be laughing when Skeletor is on the scene. Like that was a no-no, you know.
Yeah.
Go on. Sorry. I feel like I cut you off. Sorry, buddy. Go ahead.
So basically, also, I feel like he should have been more serious, like more like, oh, there's like barely like any moments to like remember. Like it just feels like, oh, great, this movie, and then like you forget it, and then you watch it again, and then like you forget it, and then you watch it again. Like that's my biggest complaint, is that like there is no like memorable scenes of the movie.
Really? You didn't think there were memorable scenes? Like you didn't like the fight with Skeletor at the end?
But like it didn't really feel memorable. It just looked cool. Like
okay, so I'm giving you an option right now. We're going to the movie theater. We can either watch Mortal Kombat 2 again, which you really enjoyed, or He-Man. What are you going to pick?
I mean, Mortal Kombat 2.
You like Mortal Kombat 2. All right, yeah. So yeah, yeah. And what Lorena says too, in that old Masters of the Universe movie, the Skeletor in that was actually creepy. He really was creepy. He was, oh yeah, he was a goddamn menace. Like he was great. And remember when Adam went into the gym and he was lifting with that guy, Dolph Lundgren?
That's Skeletor?
Yeah.
No, that was He-Man in the older movie.
Oh.
So Dolph Lundgren's actually a really like interesting guy. First off, I think he's a scientist. He's like a chemist or something. Like he's an actual scientist. He's also a Kyokushin karate like fighter, and he's participated in actual real fights. He was Ivan Drago in Rocky 4, which you guys haven't seen. We'll watch the Rocky movies at some point. But then on top of everything, he was He-Man in the original movie. And he didn't look anything like the He-Man that was in this movie. This is a more like toy accurate He-Man. But he was freaking He-Man. I mean, like, that was probably one of the other things I would say worked about that movie was that Dolph Lundgren was a great He-Man. But anyway, Max is interested because like I grew up with He-Man, and so like and he kind of you watched the show because they had it on Netflix. Yeah, so we used to watch the cartoon when he was younger, when he was like about 5 years old. So you probably remember it vaguely, but
yeah, very vaguely.
All right.
I thought I agree with that. The movie was very stunning. It was very good. Skeletor was awesome, but he looked menacing, but it wasn't even comedic. It was kind of just bland. I didn't really like him on the screen. Like, even though like he's the antagonist, he's supposed to be all cool and stuff. I also didn't like He-Man. I didn't like his personality. I told you this earlier. I would much rather would have preferred if it was more like Captain America, where he was like weak but brave, instead of just like really scared of everything.
And actually I thought about that. Like, initially I thought you were right about that. I totally agreed. Like, if he was more like Steve Rogers, like, I could do this all day as like the skinny kid who was getting picked on, like that would have been cool. But I think it would have been even better if he just forgot everything about being in Eternia. Like, he gets thrown into this portal, he comes into our world, he hits his head, and he forgets everything. He doesn't even remember where the sword is, and you don't have to reshoot. I don't think any of that movie needed to be reshot. I just think it needed to be rewritten just once. Just give it, change a few things in the dialogue, like him going on a date with a girl and scaring her off, like, because of him telling the story. I think it would have been way better if he was on this date with this girl and everything she was telling him was uninteresting to him, because all he could think about is the sword. Mm-hmm. And like he's not even talking to her, or she's talking to him, but he's not engaged in the conversation. Like he's obsessed with the sword. And I felt like the work environment thing too, that was a little too over the top. Like, I was
trying to relate, but it really missed the mark.
Yeah, kind of did. I mean, like go ahead. You were going to say something.
That's what I said. Like,
yeah, because I think the work environment stuff was it's a perfect setting. Like, I don't think the Earth stuff was bad, because the Earth stuff kind of like allows us to relate to He-Man a bit. Like, I don't think it needed to completely take place in Eternia, but the way they brought him back to Eternia was just full of these really stupid jokes that were full of innuendos that definitely went over his head. Didn't even make us laugh. We were laughing because it was so bad, the dialogue. Like, it was terrible.
Yeah. He was fidgeting. I was fidgeting.
He was fidgeting the entire time. I mean, he was just rolling around in the seat. And he's like, Dad, this movie sucks.
I was like,
what?
I was running over to the exit just to get out.
No, but the best thing Alan had the best line for He-Man. He leaned into me in the middle of the movie. He goes, he's not He's not He-Man. No. He said, not He-Man. He is not a man. That should have been his name. But at the end of the movie, though, I actually kind of really appreciated what they did, in the sense of like, the moral of the story kind of a thing, because that's what they always used to do on Masters of the Universe, is like every single episode would be like, here's the moral of the story, like always be kind to people and do this. And I think that's an important aspect of what makes He-Man a hero. And so great. We're supposed to not just admire He-Man for his masculinity, but for his empathy, his generosity. He has all this strength, but he also uses the strength to help other people. Like that's what he does at the end of the day. And he makes the right decision. Like, he could have destroyed Skeletor in a second, but he tried to, make peace with it. Mm-hmm. I thought that was actually really good. As lame as it was when I first thought of, like, oh Jesus, like, come on, like, let's see some fights here. But they delivered on that. I mean, it was definitely, I think it delivers in terms of what you're expecting a He-Man movie to deliver on. But if you think you're going to be like caught off guard by like really good slapstick humor, like go watch Dumb and Dumber instead, or like any other.
Simpsons.
Yeah. I actually kind of want to see that new Scary movie, but I don't think you guys are. I don't think it's
Wow.
appropriate for me to take you guys. There's a new Scary movie. It's just called Scary Movie. It's
Yeah.
It's a comedy, right?
It's a satire of all. It's a satire and parody of all the horror movies that come out. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a really long running series, and they finally brought it back. But the one thing I have to say that's really great is we're seeing a lot more movies come out in theaters again, and people are going back to the theaters to see comedies, to see action movies, and to see horror movies. And I think that's really important because when everything is just surrounded by superhero movies, I think that's kind of like drowning out the entire film industry, and I don't think we want to see that happen. So, but all right, do you guys have any parting thoughts that you want to add here to Masters of the Universe before we give our final gradings?
I mean, it was just generic, but that's really
Generic?
all I had.
Okay.
That's all I really had to say.
Yeah, you felt the same. All right, okay. Final score
4.
5.
6. So 5. It gets a 5 as an overall score.
You don't wait. I kind of want to change my answer.
Yeah.
4.
5 it is.
No,
4, 4, 6.
4.5. 4.5.
4.5.
4.5. Fine. 4.5. Fair enough.
Yes.
But you guys got 3 different perspectives from 3 different age groups that I think will help you decide if this is the movie for you and your family. And I still think, would you guys recommend people go see these movies?
I would recommend seeing He-Man and Backrooms.
Okay.
I would
He-Man
do
was
like if you know He-Man a lot, then go see He-Man. If like you don't like know He-Man, then like watch Netflix or show or something.
Okay.
But Backrooms, like maybe watch like the thing on like YouTube.
Okay.
It's free.
All right. Yes, exactly. Could we wait for these movies to come out and on like on the streaming to see them?
He-Man definitely. Backrooms is worth it to go to the theater.
I actually kind of liked seeing He-Man in the theater. I mean, it looked good and we didn't see it with IMAX or anything, but like seriously, those fight scenes were pretty damn good.
But that's all it has.
Yeah, it is.
And like it just like when he first gets the sword, like he just feels like super goofy.
Yeah.
Because he like.
Well, the main reason you want to go to the theater is for the sound, I think.
Yeah.
And you really enjoyed the music.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
You all know I did. All right. So we are now going to switch gears on this show. I have to go upstairs to get there. So we're going to air some commercials in the meantime. What kind of commercials are we going to be airing right now? Well, they're going to be lame, funny, stupid commercials. So
I thought it was going to be Backrooms or He-Man.
no, we're going to do a bunch of commercials here.
That suck.
No, they're not. They don't suck. My commercials are great. Here, shut up and watch these commercials.
Are you getting lost again? Can't trust iMaps, Google Maps, or that wacky weird Waze app? Well, don't worry, because we have the solution for you. Go straight! Straight! You idiot! Introducing the Sam Kinison GPS. It'll keep you on track. You see this? Come here! Take a little look at this. This is sand. It's sand. You're supposed to be in the city, not the desert. Nobody lives in the desert. Never get lost again, because if you do, you'll be berated in front of the whole family for it. Get your kid off your lap! Who puts their kid on their lap while they're driving? Order the Sam Kinison GPS system for only $199.95. And if you order today, we'll throw in the Gilbert Godfrey GPS system for only $49.99. Order now at 1-800-GPS-SCAM. Would you like to save an expensive hotel, yes? Come stay in my Section 8 housing complex for only $100 night. As you see here, our facilities, good cleaning, yes? Comfortable bed, yes? Breakfast, yes? No, you want these things, you buy. You not demand these things from Ishmael. You give me money and maybe I give you a place to sleep.
Are you running a business that's only making $3 million a year? If so, you suck, and you should quit your business and get a job at McDonald's because $3 million sucks. You know what doesn't suck? $10 million. It still sucks though, and that's where I come in. My name is Blaine Swindle. I convinced a bunch of rich people to hire me because they had nothing better to do with their money. I charged them an incredibly high premium and then took a 3-week vacation with my girlfriend at the time to the Bahamas, where I did all kinds of drugs and didn't take any calls. When I finally decided to resurface, the company had grown, thanks only to my great and brilliant ideas. And that's where I made my exit. If you want me to help you grow your business, go to my website, make an appointment, and I'll pencil you in with my eraser. Just go to www.kissmyass.com for more details.
Coming this summer, robbing houses isn't enough. If you want results, you need to take out the trash that you're stealing and then rummage through the garbage for valuables. Joaquin Phoenix's Death Burglar, based on a true story. Are you looking to get filthy rich off your comic book collection? Good. Buy this book right here. In fact, buy 30 copies of it, and in about 25 years, it'll be worth a fraction more than it was worth today. Possibly. You'll make a grand total of somewhere around $10 to $15, which by that point won't even get you a Happy Meal at McDonald's because of inflation. You're welcome.
All right, we're back. I want to thank you guys for tuning in with us for Onrie'S comic mukbang reviews. I decided, why not review some of the movies that are coming out? I think it all kind of ties to comics anyway. Everything ties to everything, right? And I'm trying to do a lot of different stuff right now. We're going to be doing a lot of exploring this month. There's not a lot of conventions, but there's a lot of excitement. Next week, I will be having a writer join us for a new show that I'm going to be announcing, kind of. I've already made the announcement. We're going to call it, I think the show is just going to have to be called Special Events, because we're going to be, talking with different writers and stuff. But I'm bringing on Sam Rosenberg next week. He is a writer who recently published his memoir. And Bentley wants to come inside here. He wants to hang out. That's all right. He'll hang out with Alan. So Sam and I went to school together as a kid, and he had a very different experience than I did. And he recently just released his book, and I picked it up and I read it. I was in Oklahoma City for my first con, and honestly, I've been reading a lot more books lately just because it's a great opportunity for me to kind of it really kind of helps me recenter myself, So it was it was a really great book. I really, really enjoyed it, and I just dropped a link for it here. You guys can pick this up right now. You can go to Amazon, or you can go to Sam's site. Buy the book, and next week I'll be interviewing him on Wednesday evening at 5 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'll provide links for everything in the coming days, but I highly recommend you guys come and check this out, because we're gonna be talking a lot. It's not just about the fact that Sam and I grew up in the same neighborhood. I think that's probably just only scratching the tip of the surface. What really fascinates me about this book is how well it's written. And I really think you guys will enjoy it, especially if you're fans of Hunter Thompson and Mitch Hedberg, or Anthony Bourdain's very, detailed and, eloquent writing. I think you'll really appreciate Romp. I mean, you can feel the heart and soul in this book. And another thing I want to say about it too, before we go on to reviewing comics, is, we live in this world now with AI, and how AI is this big thing this big bad monster that everybody's scared of. Romp is the answer to that in a lot of ways, because there is no way AI could generate a book like Romp. Romp is about experience. It is about a person's true, feelings about the world. It is someone hanging their entire truths out into the world, into the open. AI can't just do that. This is something that is raw and honest and real. So I highly recommend supporting this because you're going to be supporting the writer directly. I haven't actually confirmed this with Sam yet, but it looks like he is self-publishing this book. At least when I looked at the book itself, it didn't look like anybody else had published it. So, and I could be completely wrong, but regardless, buy the book through the site. You can also buy it on Amazon too. And if you're not sold on it yet, you will be after our interview. It's gonna be a good time. We're gonna go across the spectrum here, and it's a really great book. Sam had a really tough childhood, and things were really tough for him, and he had an opportunity to go and explore Europe when he was in his young adult years, and he did a lot of drugs and had a lot of experiences, and came face to face with his own demons, and just had all kinds of crazy experiences that you can only have in a lived life. So I highly recommend checking this out, and we will talk more about it next week. And in the meantime, let's get to talking about comics, because this week we had a really solid outing with new comics. Honestly, I don't think that there's a single book that came out this week that I did not enjoy thoroughly. This week's comics were fantastic, and it was a great experience for me to be able to have that, because every week, there are some comics I read that are kind of like snooze fest, and then there's comics that really grab my attention, and I kind of put things in order of what I want to read them. And I always put the books I'm least excited about at the top so I can get through them quicker and have something to look forward to. They're like my motivation to get to the stuff I actually want to read. But this week it was really hard for me to put that type of list together, because everything was just so damn good. Everything was like all the releases for the week had me excited in some form or fashion. And I had one of those situations occur where the tape on the bag broke. So I'm trying to peel it off real quick while I'm talking here with you guys, and maybe eventually I'll be able to finally get it off. I hate when this fucking happens. Motherfucker. Son of a bitch. You guys could just hit. You guys want a rage review? I want to rage review how much I hate tape on these bags. We're going to have to get a new bag. All right. First book we're going to review, The Century #4. Now, I have pretty much reviewed this entire series, and this is the last issue of the series. It's a 4-issue series written by Paul Jenkins, who is the co-creator of The Century. Him and Jay Lee created this character. And this concludes a really emotionally charged story. So what's happening here is the Century knows that the Void, his villainous alter ego that exists within his own mind, needs to feed itself. And they are both going through the process of saying goodbye to their sick dog. So there's grief on the horizon. And the Void's mission throughout all this, I was kind of expecting it to be a lot more like screwy with the Century, but he actually kind of learned how to balance out what he was feeling with the Void, or what he did with the Void. And they brought the Kingpin into this. And at first, when you read the first issue, you're like, why did they do that? Everything gets explained in this 4th issue here. And I know Paul personally. I've known Paul for a very long time. Honestly, I have to thank Paul for a lot of the breakthroughs I've had in my career as a comic book writer, because I remember meeting Paul for the first time at the E3 Gaming Expo in 2005 when he was signing copies of The Darkness, because they just released the Darkness video game on Xbox. And what's up, Eddie? And, Origin, the Wolverine origin story, was one of my favorite comics that he had done. And I asked him if he could send me the script for it. And he was more than happy to do it. And he gave me some great advice. He said, write a story, learn from that, write another story, learn from that, keep writing, is essentially what he was saying. And he gave me his personal email. He always responded to emails. And over the years that I've known Paul, he's always remembered who I am. I see him every year at Dragon Con. He always remembers who I am. He's just a really wonderful guy. I've interviewed him before on the show. He's really great. I love Paul, and seeing him have the opportunity to go back and revisit the character that he created for Marvel is a really wonderful experience. And he sticks to the landing with us. He really does. Like, and you can really see based on this book here that he has true mastery over this character. Like, someone else can come in and write the Sentry, but they can't write it the same way that he can. So I think that this is really well done. I'm really impressed with the way that he managed to put this together. So I'm honestly going to give this we'll give this a 4 out of 5. Honestly, this whole series, like if we're looking at issues 1 to 4, this is 4 out of 5 for sure. I definitely enjoyed it. Okay, so we got that. And then the next book that we have here is Avengers Armageddon, which is written by Chip Zdarsky, illustrated by Netho Diaz. Netho is an artist that I've been paying attention to for a long time. Back when he was working at IDW for G.I. Joe, I was really trying to see if I could try and hire this guy to do some stuff for me. And unfortunately, he just got picked up by Marvel. And not unfortunately, it's very fortunate. I'm very happy for this guy. He's now one of Marvel's hard hitters. Really cool artist and a really nice guy from what limited interactions I've had with him. So this book was sealed in a poly bag. Comes with this really cool trading card here and a really cool, interesting backboard promoting the Magic Arena game that's tied to the Marvel stuff. So yeah, it was it's really an interesting story. It's an interesting experience. I definitely like seeing them work together, or like seeing him working, and like seeing what's going on. I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. I was all over the place just now. Sorry. My son was just leaving and some weird things were happening, but I could see everything through a camera. Don't ask me any more questions about that. Anyway, let's talk about Avengers Armageddon. So if you've been following everything since One World Under Doom, and One World Under Doom was where Dr. Doom took over the world because he became the Sorcerer Supreme. So he declared himself as the ruler of the world. And then all that fell apart. And while he was ruler of the world, he imprisoned Red Hulk. It was a central part of the story. And hold on just a second. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, you can let him on through. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Red Hulk got captured by Dr. Doom, and he was imprisoned by Dr. Doom, and Dr. Doom, did all kinds of awful things to him. And so he got really angry. He got, angry for all the right reasons. And now that Dr. Doom has lost Latveria, Red Hulk wants to reestablish Latveria as a new version of America. He even calls it New America. And if you're reading the Captain America series, Captain America is trying to kind of, do his own mission to help Latveria establish its own government post-Doom. So there's a lot of messed up stuff happening in Latveria right now, and it is sucking Captain America into hell. And now there is no one really left to defend Latveria, so a new Avengers team is assembled. And the Fantastic Four play a pretty big role in this. And so does this new Captain America. What's his freaking name? David Colton. So David Colton makes his first appearance in the current Captain America series. It's also written by Chip. And he is more than just, super powered. He also can fly, apparently. I didn't know he could fly here. But him and Cap have a big confrontation in the first arc. And it looks like he's going to be helping out now. So he's actually a good guy. He's not a bad guy. I actually think he would be so much better as a bad guy, and I hope that can change. But for now, he's a good guy. And he's working with all the heroes. So there's a new team. They got Spider-Man, Thing, Captain Marvel, Wolverine, Iron Man, Reed Richards, Sue Storm. I think, the Thing's not going to be in there. But and Sam Wilson, Captain America, and Namor and possibly Winter Soldier. So this is called Avengers Armageddon, but it says Legacy 803 here. So I don't know if this is like, Chip is beginning his run on Avengers now. But I read the first issue because this has been being pushed for a while now. And I think it's the start of something. Because we definitely see that Red Hulk is he's very smart, he's got the power of the Hulk, and he wants to, take over Latveria. Like he's very intent on controlling Latveria. So it'll be interesting to see where they go with this. So I'm excited for what the future holds in this. As far as the first issue goes, it wasn't bad. Like it's a good first issue. I'll definitely give this a solid 3.5 out of 5 in terms of my comic rating system that I have created that I don't even know what exists about it, but it's promising. And I'm sorry, this is the actual roster. It's David Colton. They got Namor, Invisible Woman, Sam Wilson, Iron Man, Captain Marvel, Vision, and a bunch of heroes that are inside a ship. So we're going to see where things go. Kind of a cluttered cast. Whenever you got these big hero books, you got a cluttered cast. So can they make you care about picking up issue 2? I will pick up issue 2 for a couple of reasons. One, because I like Chip Zdarsky and Netho Diaz. That's like the main reason why I'd pick it up. And I think that when you have a team like this, you have something that's promising. The second reason why I'd pick it up is because I'm really interested to see what they do with David Colton, the other Captain America. So let's see where this goes. I'm interested. So 3 out of 5. This is a solid book. It's average, but above average. All right. Next book we're going to talk about is Batman: Gargoyle of Gotham. First issue of this came out in late 2023. It was a big, huge release because they had Raphael Grampa. I don't even know how to pronounce his last name, but this is it, Raphael Grampa. And the first 2 issues came out relatively in succession to each other, but then the third issue didn't come out until late 2024, I want to say. When did it? So I remember buying it. Batman Gargoyle of Gotham, number 3, release date. The release date's important on this one. Okay, yeah, so it came out on December 26, 2024. And I was really kind of upset when issue 3 came out because you got a whole year between one issue and the next. And there wasn't enough context to move the story to a conclusion because they were like, okay, we're going to do another one. I'm like, dude, you just made us wait a whole year and now you're going to release another issue. Can he stick the landing? This week we got our answer. Yes, this sticks the fucking landing. And it also makes sense why it took so goddamn long for them to put this together. Look at the artwork. My God, this book is a goddamn presentation. The whole thing. Holy shit, is this good. All of the artwork, everything, even the story, it all comes together and it all ties together with everything he set up. This is all intentional, all put together with great purpose. And much like how I release my books, which come out every Shrove Tuesday, this is also a Batman series that comes out every Shrove Tuesday, but it delivered. It finally is done, and it is so good. This Batman outfit is freaking badass. I loved it. The story, I wouldn't say it's like the deepest, most complex Batman story, but when you got the same writer and artist tackling the story, I think that speaks volumes. And this guy just really knows what he's doing. His artwork is phenomenal. It is so loose and everything moves at such an incredible pace. At times you kind of feel like his anatomy is off a bit, but when you really study it, it's all the makings of a great composition. This is just really incredible work. This is an incredible body of work. I think when we look back on Batman, Gargoyle of Gotham, we're going to look at it as one of the best Batman stories of all time. This is definitely what I would say more of like an Elseworlds Batman story. So it doesn't really like tie into like the current stuff. It is a Black Label book. So, the things are a bit more extreme in this one. And this isn't the same Batman that we know. This is kind of like a different Batman, a lot darker, meaning this guy's not afraid to kill. He actually uses a knife and a hammer and all kinds of stuff. But some really goddamn great layouts in this. This is, wow, holy shit. And the fact that this is only $7 is insane to me. I mean, like, and there's some really cool variants that came out with this too. I would honestly say I wasn't expecting this to be the book of the week for me, but this was the goddamn book of the week for me. 5 out of 5 on this. Totally pick this up if you can, or wait for the trade, which I'm sure is going to be coming out in like the next few months. But Batman Gargoyle of Gotham will not disappoint. It is very, very good. I was really happy with this. Such a fun read. I'm glad it's over. It ended well. I would love to see a continuation of this. If Raphael can come back and do something like a one-shot, I'd be totally on board with it. This was a really good book. And you see it, like, most of the books this week are pretty damn good. They're all great. All right, next book we got here is Fury of Firestorm #3. I am really enjoying this series so far. I've never really read any Firestorm stuff before in the past. So now this is like my first foray into Firestorm. And, the first issue does what it does. It kind of reestablishes itself as a jump-on point. Kind of gives you the gist of who Firestorm is. He's a combination of two people, Ronnie Raymond and Dr. Stein. Forgot his name. Is it Nicholas Stein? Martin Stein. So the two of them combined to become Firestorm. And we learn a little bit more about Dr. Stein and what he's trying to do. Because right now, Firestorm is kind of unhinged right now, and there's two aspects to Firestorm. He needs to be controlled by two people in order to do good things. And right now, Ronnie Raymond is completely captured by Firestorm, and Firestorm is doing all kinds of bad things. And in this issue, Supergirl makes an appearance and she gets the shit kicked out of her because Firestorm's actually that powerful. I didn't even realize how much. But we're starting to find out what's going on. Dr. Stein has been separated from Firestorm, and so now there's a big threat going on, and now Firestorm is heading to cause even more destruction. And he's not his good self. He's in a bad state right now. This is really, really good. I really, really like Fury of Firestorm. This is definitely a 4 out of 5 for me. Best issue of the series yet. I mean, if you've been reading the last two, this is really coming together. We're really seeing a story form here. Jeff Lemire is totally crushing it on this. Really good book. 4 out of 5, hands down. This is a great, great book. Definitely pick this up. This is one of those things where, a lot of people say, I don't read mainstream comics anymore, and don't, read the Marvel and DC stuff. But I will tell you, one of the main reasons why I read Marvel and DC books is because you guys are reading Marvel and DC books, and I'm selling Marvel and DC books. But also because I want to learn myself. I'm a comic book creator, and these are the pros doing what they do. Sometimes they hit the mark, like Batman Gargoyle of Gotham, and sometimes they miss the mark. It happens too. But, overall, I want to study what's being done out here. And I know a lot of the people who work at these companies, and, they're good people. They're my friends. They're my peers in the business. So even though I'm not working at these companies myself, I still admire the work that they're doing. I think it's important. So, and it's important to support them too. This is how they live and breathe, right? So next book we got here is Emperor Aquaman by Jeremy Adams. And I have been, no, I didn't mean to call you out, Joey. I'm just, a lot of people ask me that all the time. Why am I reviewing Marvel and DC books? Well, mainly because I'm selling Marvel and DC books, but I also read independent books too. I read a really great independent comic series recently. I read all kinds of stuff, and honestly, you and I were talking because we were hanging out in Phoenix Fan Fusion over the weekend. And by the way, again, I would never call you out on the air, especially after how much you helped me with that show, because there's no way I could have pulled off Phoenix Fan Fusion without you. But, the one thing I have to say that I have personally noticed with a lot of my peers, and I'm calling out all my peers in comics, these are the people who actually make comics, you guys aren't reading enough of each other's stuff. You don't have to read my stuff. I don't care if you read my stuff, but you're not reading enough of each other's stuff. Read comics. You have to just be reading, period, all the time. Read as much as you fucking can. You know, like if you're not a fan of comics and you're not a fan of what other people are doing and you're not paying attention to what other people are doing, you're going to get left in, you know, you're going to get left in the dust. Even more so than AI or whatever you're afraid of. Fuck that. You know, AI cannot just create comics because it has stories to tell. There's someone behind it. To me, AI is like a tool, like a screwdriver. A screwdriver is useless without someone there to hold it and do things with it, or a hammer or whatever, you know. And it's not self-motivating. But when people take the time to create something and write a story, that is motivation right there. That is someone saying, I have a story to tell in this format and I am going to do it come hell or high water. I'm going to make this happen. So, you know, this is something that I have to say. We all need to do a better job of supporting each other rather than sizing each other up. You know, I see a lot of that. Like some people are like, well, this guy is not that great. You know, he's not a good creator. He has room to improve. His stuff's not that good. It's like, you know, put all those thoughts to the side. Appreciate the work as it is. You know, the balance of imperfection is perfection. So there. Awesome. I'm glad. Yes, Emperor. So let's talk about Emperor Aquaman. So we're back here. This has been a great series. And Lorena, you and I kind of, you know, got into this at the same time. Yeah, no, I know you've read my stuff. I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about other peers in the business, you know. So I'm not throwing you in there. But I mean, you've made comics too. But you know, I'm talking about my indie peers. You know, I'm talking about everybody. There's not enough reading going on. A lot of people are spending more time, you know, scrolling on social media than they are reading. And not you guys. I'm just talking people in general. Yeah, you could kick my ass, Eddie. I would just let it happen, you know. I would just sit there and take it. I'd be like Green Lantern here, to be like, please hit me harder. All right, so I rather enjoyed this issue. I think I would have enjoyed it more if I had been reading, if I had been caught up on Jeremy's Green Lantern, which I'm not. But Aquaman does some pretty fucking badass shit here, and we're seeing just how much he's been elevated. His powers are so great now that even Hal Jordan's like, dude, you're very powerful now, and with that power, you know, you could end up getting into a dark place. And no one knows this better than me because, you know, he became paralyzed at one point. So, you know, him giving Aquaman this advice, I think, made a lot of sense. But seeing Aquaman's new powers in use is actually really amazing. And the artwork in this book is really great. I don't think this is the regular artist. His name is Villanelli. Yeah, Villanelli. Paulo Villanelli. And this moves the narrative forward with what Jeremy has been building here. So Emperor Aquaman is now, you know, the Emperor of Atlantis, and he is setting up these lighthouses which create gateways back to Atlantis on Earth in order to help all these like different worlds and stuff like that from impending dangers. And he is now so powerful because he can control the blue, which is like pretty much all water. In fact, he's so powerful that like he can knock out somebody just by controlling their blood flow in their body. You know, that is how powerful he is. If you saw what Aquaman did to Hawkman in DC Knockout, you'll see that he's a huge force to be reckoned with. And I really like what Jeremy has done with Aquaman, probably more than I've ever seen anyone do anything with Aquaman. I know Jeff Johns had a really memorable run, which was probably the building block for what allowed Jeremy to get to this point where he's at now. But I can really tell that Jeremy loves this character, and I can see his passion coming through for the DC characters. I've had conversations with Jeremy personally. He's a really wonderful guy, and he really cares about what he's doing. He loves these characters. Like this guy, he just considers himself to be so lucky to be doing this. And that's the kind of excitement you want for someone who's working on books like this. You know, if it's like some guys like, oh, I'm reading Batman right now. It's like, you know, you don't get the, when they're too, when a creator is more focused about what the fans think as opposed to what working on the book itself means, I think you got a problem. Like, this writer doesn't like this, so I'm not going to do this. This kind of stuff. I think it's important to be mindful of your audience, but not allow your audience to dictate your mood or your reasons for doing something. And that clearly is not the case here. This is a book that is all fucking heart, all around. All around. And because that's the case, I'm definitely going to give this latest issue a 4 out of 5. It's fantastic. I love Emperor Aquaman. And Aquaman. Good stuff. I like Emperor Aquaman. Number 18. Here we go. Not the best cover. Cover's kind of like, who even did it? I have no idea. I don't think it was Villanelli who did it, though. I think it's the artist who does the interiors of the book. He must be taking some time to catch up on other stuff for like the next arc. But anyway, good series. Pick it up. Fuck the cover. There's variants. You don't like this cover, get another one. And that's the one thing I will say works for variants. It's like if you really don't like a book's cover, well then fuck it. There's a whole bunch of different variants you can get for that. I personally am an A cover guy, but that's just me personally. I think if you like a certain artist or whatever, and their artwork is something you want to own in your collection, then you should get that. You should have that option. And I think that's the idea with the variant covers. I mean, obviously everybody wants to make a buck or two, but when you can do that and make things work, that's really awesome. That's a recipe for awesomeness. Okay, next book we got here is Daredevil number 3 by Stephanie Phillips and Lee Garbett. This has been a really great series so far. Omen is the new villain in this arc, and Spider-Man kind of indirectly names him. Spider-Man shows up here, and once again we learn that Spider-Man can actually still be an interesting and compelling character when written by the right people. And I like seeing Spider-Man in this. This is really cool. I like Lee Garbett's artwork a lot. I like his Daredevil. There's some really compelling moments in this. It's really cool. I also really like, by the way, I just want to give Marvel some props here. This DNX ad is pretty cool because it starts out like this and you're like, oh, cool, what's going on here? Then you turn the page and it's like, it's a 2-part ad. And I like the second part of the ad a lot. That's really cool. So let's get back to Daredevil. Omen is a new villain. He is taking out the eyes of all these people out of his victims. Clearly, he has some connection to Daredevil, particularly Matt Murdock. He's actually predicting the death of Matt Murdock. And that hasn't happened yet. And, Matt is trying to get to the bottom of it. And eventually he comes face to face with him. They have a battle, and then there's a revelation at the end of the book that I'm not going to spoil. But let's talk about the cover for a second. The cover's pretty cool. I like how it, kind of ties back to Will Eisner's use of like large letters and things like that. So I like the cover. Cover is interesting, and I like the solidified colors of black and red and white. They're doing a good job. Notice how the white letters really help the words pop on the page. I don't like that Daredevil's title is so small. I think it should be bigger, and I think we need to see the man without fear somewhere. That would be cool. That would be my only criticism. I also don't like these big number 3s here and all this stuff. Like I think they used to do a much better job of tightening it up back in the day. But it's not the worst thing in the world. It's small design stuff that only I would pay attention to. Other than that, this is a great series. Bring me more. I'm a fan of Daredevil again. This is 5 out of 5. Great issue of Daredevil. Fantastic. And now the final book that we're going to review this week, Absolute Catwoman number 1. So this is the main event book. And we're going to talk about this for a minute because it's written by Scott Snyder, and I forgot who he co-wrote this with somebody. Che Grayson. So I think Che Grayson was a writer that he was trying to help out. Yeah, it kind of does make it feel like it's the Omen series, but I mean, the Omen is a threat. I get it, but you know, I still think like we're talking about the Daredevil cover. I still think Daredevil should be prominent on there. I mean, Joey's agreeing with me, but yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with the size of the Omen. I just think that they could have made the Daredevil title larger and somehow make the Omen a little bit more imposing, because if you notice here, the Omen's also the smallest figure. Then you got Daredevil, and then you got Spider-Man, who's the largest figure. But again, that's just really pulling this apart and saying taking this from a decent cover to a horrible cover. It's not a horrible cover. It's just small little things that I'm nitpicking here, but you know, it's not the worst cover in the world. Probably it's better that they leave it alone than fuck with it at all. You know, that's my honest take on it. But okay, let's talk about Absolute Catwoman. Yeah, there is way too much empty space. I mean, and I've noticed the same problem with Iron Man. You know, like even if you look at the Sentry does a better job of utilizing the space in terms of its layout. You know, this cover is just simple. I think we could use a little bit more context here, like a burst balloon or something to like be like what happens in the series, get us excited. The conclusion, something, you know. But forget it. And let's look at this cover, which is very simple, right? You just see Absolute Catwoman, you know, jumping at us. The title. I love what DC is doing right now with their all-in initiative like this. This is how you do it. Put all the credits for the creators here. They're nailing it. This is how it's done, folks. DC is totally crushing it right now in terms of their design and doing everything. Yeah, I mean, I honestly, if there was any critique here, and I don't want to get caught up in critique, even though this is a review show, I would probably move Catwoman down just a little bit so that you can make the Absolute Catwoman bigger. But is making Absolute Catwoman bigger really going to change anything? I don't know. You know, I think they did fine. I mean, this is a good cover. That's like such a nitpicky thing. I wouldn't even lose sleep over that. Overall, the book has an art style that fits the mold of what was established in Absolute Batman. So anybody who's reading Absolute Batman is going to feel right at home with this. And the action in this is really good. Like here's a double page spread here, which is cool. Interesting story development here too. A huge, twist at the end. We get a better look at who Absolute Selina Kyle is, because we don't really get to learn much about her in Absolute Batman. But here in this world, she's the one with the money and the means and the technology to do what she does. And similar to my review of He-Man needing some script management, this book is an example of, you know, what to do right. So in He-Man, there's a part in the movie where Tila is, piloting a ship, and she tells the ship what to do, and the ship repeats her orders. And it's meant to be funny because it also starts repeating her words, but it doesn't land, and everything that she's saying is redundant. In this, you don't see that happening at all. You know, like Selina's also talking to her technology, but her technology is actually responding to her in a way that technology would, and she's reacting to it. It's not a redundancy. It's moving the story forward. And I think this is a great example of how you do things like that, you know. But there's some interesting side characters here. I don't want to spoil too much for this, but I will say that this is the hot book of the week, and everybody's talking about this. They've been promoting this for a while now. This is, I believe, going to be a 6-issue miniseries, and I think it's going to be, really definitive of who this character is in this universe. It works really well. I like her suit. I like her technology. I like how everything works. I like how they explain her backstory and how much closer it is to the Earth. The mainline Batman, because she's the one with the money here. Bruce Wayne doesn't have the money. And she didn't come from money. She obviously stole the money because she's Catwoman. So she Catwomaned her way to the top. But this was a good book. I really recommend it. 5 out of 5 on this. This was, like if you're into the Absolute line, this is you definitely have to buy this. You have no choice. You are locked in. Pick this up. And that is my reviews of comics for the week and movies. You think so? I mean, I felt like it was pretty much like in line. Joy saying that the Masters of the Universe ship is AI slop. I mean, maybe, I don't know. I thought visually it was a pretty captivating movie. I had no problems with it. I liked everything about Masters of the Universe visually. I just felt like the script needed some tweaking, some serious tweaking. It needed some serious rewriting. With some smarter rewriting, we would have had a better movie on our hands, for sure. And it's unfortunate because sometimes even when a script is good, the movie can still suffer. There was a movie that I watched a long time ago called The Human Stain with what's his face? Anthony Hopkins. It was based off a book. The book was really well written, but then the movie script was actually even better written. It was written by Nicholas Meyer, who wrote the script for Star Wars 2 and some other like some really high profile stuff. And I actually got a chance to hear him speak, and he was great. Very smart man. But then when you go see his movie, it's like all the stuff that worked so well in his script is missing from the actual movie. So what happens between a script, the film actually getting produced, and the final product getting released are a whole bunch of different things. The Human Stain launched Uncle Jack's career. That's funny. But yeah, it's a whole bunch of things can happen in the production process. Maybe these guys came to the set one day and be like, hey, it'd be funny if we had like a bunch of short jokes with like penis references. Like Marvel did it. Well, Marvel did it, so we could do it too. It's like you definitely got that sense from Masters of the Universe, but overall, it wasn't a bad movie. Again, when I give my reviews as a 6 out of 5, 6 out of 10 or something like that, it's just like an arbitrary thing. Go see the movie yourself. Go, and I hope for you it is a 10 out of 10. I hope you enjoy these movies. And even if they're not perfect, that's okay. Again, the balance of imperfection is perfection. Sometimes things just aren't meant to be what you anticipate them to be or what society thinks they should be. They can just be what they are, with their imperfections, and they could still be okay, because who defined the rules? Some asshole who did it right the first time? Like, fuck that. Was Masters of the Universe ever done right? If we look back on it, we could all pick apart the TV show, the toys, everything. We could spend all day doing that. But what good does that do us? I think things should be enjoyed for what they are. And sometimes we're not in the place to enjoy them at the time we're viewing them. Sometimes we have to revisit things, like Absolute Martian Manhunter. There are a lot of people who I see right now who are like, this is the most brilliant fucking thing ever. I've read 11 issues of this. I have no idea what the fuck is going on in the whole thing. But that could change. That could change down the road. So our opinions can evolve. Our taste can evolve. And the most important thing, I will say it again, and I will be the old man, hammering this point home for the rest of my life. I promise you guys. Do more reading. Read more. Read as much as you possibly can. Anything you can get your hands on. A comic, a video game guidebook, anything. Just read. Books, read them all. And just keep reading. Reading is so important. And the saddest thing that I keep seeing at these cons are people walking by my booth saying, I don't read. I'm sorry, I don't read. I don't read. That's not something to laugh about. That is something to be very sad about. You should all be reading, damn it. Which is what my grandpa said. But yeah, read. Reading's good. Keep doing it. Keep enjoying life. All right, guys, I'll be back on the air tomorrow for an episode of Kicking It. I'm going to be showcasing comics, selling comics, so bring your hard-earned bucks. Get ready to buy some comics with me tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Mountain Time, 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern. We are going to have a great time. Eddie has given up on Martian Manhunter. No clue what's going on with it, and I lost interest in the book. Back to horror, exactly. So, yeah. I'm kind of there, but I have the whole thing. It's worth more than I paid for it already, so I should probably sell it off at some point soon, but we'll see. All right, guys, I will see you tomorrow at the times I just mentioned. Be there or be square. $2 comics on the rack. We're doing a whole communist thing. Every book on the rack is $2, the same exact price, regardless of stature. I'll see you guys later. Have a good one. Take care.